going on, guys? Welcome back to Tinted Visors podcast, episode 26, going into round three of the playoffs. We're going to hit you guys with some quick news, do a round two recaps, and then, like I said, we're going to make our round three predictions. Finishing off with some trivia. With that being said, let's get things going.
She wild inside emoji, yo, you got a friend. Tomato to my haters.
Before we get things going, we're going to do card of the day as usual, and in honor of his team advancing to the conference finals, we're going to go with the Sam Reinhart inked rookie sweaters from back in his Buffalo days. Number to 149. It is signed. It's a sticker auto, but still a really cool card. SB Game Used has a lot of cool stuff in their collection, just with, the whole name is having game worn stuff in their cards. Having a great playoffs, had a great year. He's going to get paid in the summer. Don't know by who. I think he would like to stay with the Panthers considering how successful they've been. But it's a cool card. Sam Reinhart, Vancouver boy. That's my card of the day.
Yeah, pretty sweet card. And like you said, Sam Reinhart grew up in West Fan, so it's always cool to, see and collect these cards of these people that grew up, in our city. So moving on to my card of the day. No surprise, it's another Bo Horvat card. We have a Bo Horvat base exclusive, numbered 20 out of 100. Saw this at the card show that Kenny and I went to last month for a very reasonable price, so I decided to pick it up. Always happy to pick up another Bo Horvat card. Just not collecting the high end as much, seeing as he's, in New York now. But yeah, I love these, cheaper, nice, cool cards that are a little more rare that you can get for a good price.
Like I said, we're just going to start with a little bit of news. Big news coming out of Tampa and Nashville. Ryan McDonagh has returned to the Lightning. It's a big pickup for them. Obviously they had a very poorly defensive season, so he will add to that. But, it does handicap them. It leaves them with just around $5 million in cap space with a guy like Steven Stamkos with his contract up. So they're going to have to move some other pieces. Maybe it's a Chernak, maybe it's a Sorelli. I would hate to see either of them go. But in order to keep Stamkos, it's something they would have to do with bringing in that $6.7 million contract that McDonagh has. But good on Nashville. They got that contract off the books. And who knows, maybe they could be going for a bigger splash, maybe bringing in Marner. Who knows?
Yeah, it looks like a great trade for both teams other than, the cap space that Tampa might have to free up in order to sign Stamkos. Breezewa does say they still have enough space, but it's going to be tough, with that like $5 million cap space. Who knows? Maybe they give Stamkos the 6 years, $5 million. But yeah, McDonagh, he's still a very solid defenseman in the NHL. He is 34 and has 2 years left on his contract at that steep price that is not retained. But yeah, love this move for both teams moving forward.
Next thing up on the news list, Craig Berube has become the Leafs' new head coach. Caden, what are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I love it. I think he was the best coaching name on the market for the Leafs after firing Sheldon Keefe. And yeah, I think he provides a good culture shock to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's won before. He knows what it takes to get there. So I think he's going to be able to right the ship in Toronto and hopefully lead them past the first round just for the second time in as many years.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, there's a lot better coaches out there in the league, but like you said, he's the best coach that was available at that moment. I think Keefe extended his stay a little bit too long. I think they should have moved on from him last season. I think they would have had a lot better options. But Craig Berube, like you said, he's a proven winner. He can take a team that was literally at the bottom of the standings and bring them all the way to a Stanley Cup. So we'll see what he can do with a Leafs roster. Going into the round two recaps, we have the Rangers besting the Hurricanes in 6 games. My preseason cup pick. Unfortunately, they're out. Caden, what were your thoughts on the series?
Yeah, first 3 games were a big shock with the Rangers taking all 3. And after that, it was kind of hard to envision the Canes moving on. Although they put up a good fight in Game 4 and Game 5 and even Game 6, pushing it to 6 games. Props to the Canes. Very solid season, although they did, in my opinion, kind of not meet expectations with the roster going into the season, adding Gensel at the deadline. The expectation was cup or bust. Going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason. Right now, the rumor mill saying that Natchez will be on the way out as they prioritize signing Gensel. But yeah, disappointing end to the season for the Canes, but they ran into just a red-hot Rangers team.
Yeah, the first few games were really close. I think 1-goal games, every single one, and a couple of them going to overtime, so they could have gone a lot differently. The Canes did manage 2 wins. I think if they got those 2 wins a little earlier in the series, it could have been a 7-game series or even a victory for the Canes. But once going down 3-0, you're not going to beat that New York Rangers team 4 straight. and backed by Shesterkin. He's 8-2. He's got a 923 save percentage. He's one of the best goalies in the world right now, and he's going to be a tough goalie to beat for any opponent for the future playoffs. Trocheck, Zibanejad, great playoffs for them, leading the way with 14 points each. Hopefully, they can continue that going into the Panthers series. And like you said, just a lot of free agents for the Carolina Hurricanes. It's going to be a much different roster come next season. And maybe even Kokiniemi gets bought out. He's got a big cap hit, and he had 1 point all series long, or all playoffs long, actually. So disappointing for him. I think there's going to be a lot of moves. I would like to see Nature stay. I think he's a really good piece for them, but like you said, Gensel's their priority, and we'll see what that cap hit is. But good on the Rangers beating the Hurricanes in 6 games.
Sticking in the East, going up to the Atlantic Division for last year's round one rematch, the Florida Panthers beating the Bruins in 6 games. Kenny and I both predicted the Panthers in five, so the Bruins put up a little bit more of a fight than we thought, but ultimately the Panthers still handled them pretty easily, moving on in 6 games. Kenny, what are your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, we've been predicting the Bruins were going to lose and have a bad season and all that kind of stuff. They kept proving us wrong. Finally, we got the prediction right. They just didn't really have the depth. We said that all season long. Didn't have the depth to go far, and they had no point per game players. DeBrusque was close. Marchand, Pastrnak, they both had subpar playoff performances. They want a little more for them, especially when their depth is kind of lacking. They also had a lot of injuries that could play a part, but Jeremy Swayman really backs up them. He was the MVP of the team, had some of the best numbers of all starting goalies. It just wasn't enough to beat a red hot Panthers team. A lot of great players on that roster. Kachuk, Barkov, he just won the Selkies, having a great series. He'll continue to have a great playoffs. Bobrovsky's got some subpar numbers. I think they would want a little more from him. Same with Ekblad, a little more production from those two. And I think they can be a real handful for the New York Rangers.
But yeah, tough way for the Bruins to go out this year. Pretty sour taste left in their mouths. A lot of controversy surrounding this series. Marchand was obviously out for a bit with the Sam Bennett hit. Some may call it a punch. And then Sam Bennett coming back and scoring on, something that could have been called goaltender interference. So it's a tough look for Bruins and Bruins fans alike. Interesting offseason ahead, a lot of cap space. They're saying Elias Lindholm is the top priority from the Canucks. We'll see if they can make a big splash this offseason and get right back to where they were. On the other side, like you said, more from Bobrovsky, more from Ekblad. I think Bobrovsky's going to have to step up in a big way moving forward. Looking on the other side, Igor Shesterkin hitting his peak at the right time. This whole Rangers team is in stride. It's going to be one hell of a series, but Bobrovsky is going to have to step up big.
Flipping over to the other conference, we're going to go with the Dallas Stars beating the Colorado Avalanche in 6 games. And same disappointment 2 years in a row for the heavy favorite Colorado Avalanche team. Filled with guys like Makar, McKinnon, Rantanen, all with great playoff performances, but they were all minus players. So it means they were on for as many goals that they were on for, they were on for a lot of goals against as well, which is just not a good look from your top players. Interestingly, Nichushkin, a second year in a row, he sort of bailed on his team in the playoffs. Hopefully, he gets the help that he needs, but he really could have helped the Colorado Avalanche in those last few games of the series. And I think it was Eric Johnson that had some choice words for him, or Jack Johnson, one of them. But good on the Stars. Miro Heiskanen's leading the way, point per game right now, 13 points in 13 games. Wyatt Johnson, we keep mentioning his name, young kid, keeps stepping up. Pavelski's getting his stride going, and they could even get Hintz back in time for round 3, which would be a huge boost to that team. And Ottinger playing well. This Dallas Stars team is built to go even deeper than round 3.
Yeah, tough exit for the Avs as well. Very star heavy team, and they added quite a bit at the deadline, flipping Byram from Middlestat, adding Sean Walker, and even Yakov Treinen. They added the depth to go deep, so a second round exit is not a great look. Yeah, like you said, Nichushkin, that can't be great for the locker room. Him bailing on his teammates once again shakes up the locker room, and they could have really used that goal scoring in that second round. And yeah, the Stars looking to make it to the Cup final again. Wyatt Johnson keeps producing. You've got your stud on the blue line, Miro Heiskanen. And yeah, Dallas has all the pieces to make it to the Cup final, and they're running into, an Edmonton team that had to scrape by the Canucks.
What did you think of the Duchesne goal against his former team and the celebration that went with it?
I think it was great. If anyone was watching that game 6, you would know that there was a goaltender interference call. So I think it's only right that Duchesne scores the game winner in overtime, and the heartbreaker. Who doesn't love a great heartbreaker? Although it sucked for me to see the Avs get bounced. The Stars were my preseason cup pick, so love to see it as they are one of the four final teams remaining.
And finally, our last series of the second round, the only one to go to 7 games. It is the Oilers besting the Vancouver Canucks in 7. Um, Caden, take it away.
Yeah, um, you know, it's a tough ending for the Canucks after a great season. But you got to be proud of this team and what they came from. And when you look at it, Besser being out for Game 7 and being on your third string goalie, who didn't play like a third string goalie. But yeah, Vancouver should have never been in that spot. So super proud of the team to even be there. A super hard fought series against the Oilers. I think it was 6 of the 7 games were 1 goal games, other than us getting blown out in Game 6. But yeah, choking a 3-2 lead in the series is not a great feeling, and it was hard to watch, really, us getting blown out in Edmonton in Game 6, coming back to Vancouver and, really showing up for 15 minutes of the game. It sucked. Big off season ahead. A lot of, marquee free agents, Elias Lindholm, Nikita Zadorov. So it's going to be interesting to see the off season. A little bit concerned about it. But yeah, super proud of this Canucks team. Props to those for a very hard fought series. And, best of luck in the conference finals against Dallas.
Yeah, obviously Canucks should be very proud of their series. On the flip side, Oilers very, very top heavy with their big three, Bouchard, Draisaitl, and McDavid, each collecting 20 plus points in through the first 2 rounds, which is just an incredible stat. A lot of that is coming on the power play, but hey, if you're getting the penalties and you're getting the power plays, you might as well put it to good use. They are getting a lot of depth scoring as well, with guys like Matthias Ekholm, Zach Hyman, Evander Kane stepping up as well. The one thing that's going to hurt them against the Stars is Stuart Skinner. Basically, like what you said with Bobrovsky and Shesterkin, when you look on the other end and it's Jake Onger playing very good hockey right now, it's got to be intimidating for a guy like Stuart Skinner. So it'll be an interesting series. But yeah, Vancouver Canucks, from the fan perspective, it is a very proud season. But, looking at what they did, bringing in all those rentals, they were going in it to win. And so I think it'll be a disappointment on the management side from all the players. And they've got a lot of free agents. You didn't mention Phil Bronick, Dakota Joshua, just adds to the list of guys that they need to bring back. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, unfortunately, the Oilers take Vancouver Canucks in 7 games.
That wraps up the recaps. Let us know down below what you guys thought of round 2. But yeah, moving on to the conference finals, round 3. We'll start in the East. Kenny, what is your prediction for the Florida Panthers New York Rangers series?
Well, because they knocked out my preseason cup pick, I am rolling the Rangers, and I even got my Rangers shirt on, got the Panarin on the back, so we are rolling rags. Panthers, I think they're going to put up a good fight, but I think the Rangers could take it in 6. I think they're stronger forward lines, defense, and goalies. I think this team is just built to go to the cup finals, and I think nothing can really stop them. It's interesting. I do think the East is a little more rough. I think they will beat each other up a little more than the West would. So I think, if, there are some crucial injuries coming out of the East, I think the West could have a pretty good chance of bringing home the cup. But, I think the Rangers can take the Panthers here. Just a lot more consistency within that lineup. They're going to need some guys to step up. Fox only has 4 points throughout the playoffs so far, so I think he needs to step up in a big way. Capo Caco only has 2 points. Might be his last run with the team if he gets traded in the offseason, but both those guys need to step up if the Rangers want to move on.
I'm going to have to disagree with you here. I'm going to be rolling with the Cats. And, it really just boils down to their forward depth. I really love that forward depth. I think they're a lot deeper than the Rangers up front. Defensive end, still very solid. Maybe the Rangers have a slight edge, and obviously the Rangers have the edge in goaltending. But I just have a feeling about the Panthers. I think they can make it to back-to-back cup finals and maybe win their first cup in franchise history. But yeah, Bobrovsky's going to have to step up in a massive way. They're going to have to figure out Shesterkin. I think it really comes down to the goaltending here. But yeah, I'm going to be taking the Panthers in 7.
Good pick. I mean, I think there's no wrong answer with this series. But flipping over, I think there is a little more agreement with this series. I think the Dallas Stars can take this one, and I think it'll be in 6 as well. I would like to think a little earlier, but all the round 2 went to 6 or longer, so I would take the Dallas Stars in 6 games. But yeah, just a lot more consistent goaltending, a lot more depth. You know, you've talked about their depth in both forwards and defense all season long. And I think it's really come to show in these playoffs. Obviously it's going to be tough to stop a guy like McDavid, to stop a guy like Draisaitl, and that power play especially. But Dallas has been one of the more defensive teams in this playoffs. You know, they have one of the lowest goals against averages among all teams. So I think they can stop that offense that Edmonton has, and I think Dallas can take this series in 6 games.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. There's a big temptation to take Dallas in five. But yeah, like you said, all those round two matchups that we thought were going to end a little bit sooner winding up going a little bit longer. So yeah, I'm going to be taking the Stars in six. Also with the fact that last year, if we remember, the Carolina Hurricanes were pretty well rested going into the conference finals just to get swept by the Panthers, who were playing hockey, good hockey, consistently staying in the zone. Maybe the same thing can happen to Dallas. They did go six against the Avs, so they have been resting for a little bit. But the Oilers, fresh off that 7 game series with Vancouver, might be able to stay locked in and continue to roll. I think this series comes down to special teams. I think Dallas is going to be able to capitalize much better off their power play opportunities compared to Vancouver. Edmonton was really let off the hook with their penalties and their mistakes. Vancouver really didn't capitalize very well on the special teams. Dallas, I think, is just a much more complete team. The biggest difference being in net, like you said, Stuart Skinner, Jake Ottinger. It's night and day with these two goalies. And, quite frankly, night and day with these two teams' forward depths. Yes, the Oilers have McDavid and Draisaitl, but, they don't really have the depth to support them. So, yeah, Stars in six. I think this is a pretty easy lock. Don't want to count the Oilers out. But yeah, I see Dallas going to the Cup final in a lot of these scenarios.
That's what our picks for round three. Let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you agree or disagree. Team Kenny is the Rangers. Team Caden over there is the Panthers. Let us know who you think is coming out of the East. But we are in for two great series. And I don't think, I'll be mad with any of the Cup matchups. All the potential ones will be great series all across the board.
Yeah, with the Leafs getting bounced and, now the Bruins, I don't think there is a bad Cup winner for either of us. I think it would hurt quite a bit to see either of the teams that knocked us out win the Cup. But other than that, it should be one hell of an end to this hockey season.
One question to ask. There was a lot of questions on the street asking if the Canucks were eliminated, would you cheer for the Oilers to bring the Cup back to Canada? Caden, would you?
I'm going to say no. Personally, I don't want Oilers fans having that bragging right that they were the ones that brought the Cup back to Canada. I would love to see the Cup back in Canada, but I really hope it's not the Oilers this year. I won't be mad about it if the Oilers do end up winning the Cup this year, but yeah, I guess I won't be happy about it either.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think if you're ranking on teams in Canada that I don't want to see the bring home the cup, it would be Leafs, and then the Oilers would be right behind them. Any other team, I'd be perfectly content bringing home the cup. But again, seeing McDavid win a cup would be really cool. There's a lot of players on each of the teams who I would really like to see win a cup. Ryan Suter, Joe Pavelski on the Stars as well. Even guys like Bobrovsky, Ekman Larson on the Panthers. Moving into the trivia portion of the segment, we're going to do quick trivia for you guys here. A lot of content was talked about earlier, so we just got time for one each. We're going to do a reverse career path. So I'm going to give you the player. You got to give me the 5 teams that he's played for.
Okay.
I'd prefer order, but I'll just take the random 5 if you don't want to do the order.
Sure.
It's going to be a Vancouver guy. It's going to be Nikita Zadorov.
Nikita Zadorov. Okay.
Yeah.
So Vancouver Canucks, obviously.
Yep.
Then we're gonna go over to the Calgary Flames.
Yep.
He started his career with the Sabres.
That is true. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna say after Buffalo, he went to the Avs.
That is correct.
This one's hard. This is the one team that. Oh, is it the Chicago Blackhawks?
It is the Chicago Blackhawks. Nice. There you go. 5 for 5.
Oh.
Mixed round order, but you got them all.
Yeah, a little bit of a scare there because when you said his name, I named the first 4 teams, but then the Blackhawks totally slipped my mind. But glad I could get it. So yeah, gonna be hitting you with a career path right back at you. So we're gonna go. Started his career with the Vancouver Canucks, over to the Calgary Flames, and then the Carolina Hurricanes.
I had the reverse one. Michael Furland's the backwards version. Currently playing? Can I ask?
Currently playing, yeah.
I know Spencer Martin's with them, Carolina right now. Yeah, this is a tough one. It's tricky. Jalen Chatfield was Vancouver to Carolina. I don't know if Calgary's in there. Actually, I don't know who Martinick played for before Carolina.
All these career paths that we've done, they've been too
Mm-hmm.
easy, especially for you. They've been too easy.
Mm-hmm.
So this isn't just a regular career path.
Is it backwards?
I don't know. That's for you to find out. But
Maybe it's my first. Is it Michael Furlan?
It's not Michael Furland. He is currently playing.
Is it Phil DiGiuseppe?
It is not Phil DiGiuseppe.
No?
No.
Damn.
I believe that he played every game of this team's playoff run.
Okay, so it's not Calgary. It's Vancouver, Carolina.
Okay, last hint.
No... Oh my god, dude. So it's backwards.
Yeah.
It's Elias Lindholm.
It is Elias Lindholm. Oh my god. Yo, when you said right away, I know the reverse, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna say him and I'm gonna have to say he's right.
That wraps up the trivia. I think it's fair to say Caden got the best of that one, both answering and questioning. But yeah, that wraps up the episode. Let us know what you guys think about round 2 and about the upcoming round 3. We are in for a treat with 4 very strong teams. 3 of them were top of their division, so it is best on best. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Let us know what you guys are excited for. It's the best time of the year, Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, super exciting time for hockey. And, 4 great teams, like you said, the cup could really go to any of the 4, could see any of them winning it. So, yeah, let us know down below who you guys have winning the cup. But, yeah, super excited to be back for another episode. Looking forward to the offseason, the content Kane and I are going to make. So, keep an eye out for that. But, yeah, guys, until then, we will see you next episode for the cup final preview.
You know she wild inside emoji, yo, you gotta frown. Tomato to my haters, hope you get lost and you don't get found.